Hello, after a long time, it is the ICS Radio, Security Radio Hour, half hour with me, Eric.
And it's been so long, Eric forgot the title of the podcast. And me, Dwayne.
Dwayne, what are we talking about today?
Oh, I think we're talking about all the fun new CISA and Department of War things that have come out lately.
That was, we blew out the microphones. It's pretty good. But
Yeah.
no, in all seriousness, it's been such a long time. We are now in a sort of war, active war with Iran. And because we are doing that, there's a new CISA specific requirements for OT, which is exciting because, CISA's always kind of put out these kind of, every once in a while they'll put out new objectives and new directives for OT security. But generally they're high level, right? It's, hey, keep an eye on what's going on in your critical infrastructure, keep an idea and who might be accessing systems that might be critical infrastructure, but very rarely is it really detailed in terms of what of things you should be doing. And what's exciting about this piece of document, which I'll put up on the screen in a second, is that it's actually quite detailed. So we're going to pull this up real quick and we're going to take a look. It's dated April 29th, so pretty recently. And yeah, as you see, it's quintuple authored by, of course, CISA first, but then Department of War, Energy, FBI, and Department of State. We were saying it's TLP clear, so we can all look at it together. So that's the reason why it's
Yeah.
positive. But no, it goes through a really good, the kind of basics, right? The govern, make sure you have your governance, entitled. Make sure you can identify what's going on in the network. We'll show you the table of contents here. Identify what's going on. Protect the devices in the network in terms of visibility and as well as segmentation. Detect anything that's happening, based on a definition of your environments. Respond if something goes bad and recover, which is great. Things that a lot of us in the OT security world have been preaching for a long time, but maybe wasn't documented from the powers that be, in this case, CISA. So this, of course, brought up a lot of conversation within the usual ICS security community online, and I noticed a nice little post on LinkedIn about it, and the usual coterie of people who like to comment on ICS specific, security things commented here.
Well, you
Um,
were notably absent, so
I did not say anything. Neither did you, Dwayne. So
I
neither
did
of
not.
us get comment, but that's because we were just saving it for a
We're
podcast
here.
episode. So we're here today to talk about the article. We'll link to the original LinkedIn article. It was like I said, it was good, and generally the gist of the article said the following: like we don't have an issue, we have an execution gap, right? People need to go execute on these basic things, which is super fair. And if we just went and got some stuff done in terms of any of these high level issues, we'd probably be better off. And I think that's true. I think all of us probably agree on that, right? Sometimes we like to talk about things, sometimes we like to navel gaze a little bit, and we don't actually get out there and go get stuff done.
Yeah,
There.
I think it's fair. I mean, look, if it made money, you would do it. But it's insurance. It's risk and risk management and all the muddy, ugly BS that goes along with it. Right? If it increased your profits by 3%, I guarantee we'd already be doing it.
We'd all be
If
doing
we
it,
were
and we're
Europe,
finding ways to make it 6 and 7 and 8%.
well, yeah, or if it were Europe where they're actually enforcing regulations, then it probably would get at least half-heartedly done or funded because of that anyway. So yeah, it is to me. It's absolutely an execution problem, and it's look. I used to tell people years ago in security sales, it's like you would see these guys build these huge decks in sales. Hey, this is some percent of this is going on here, and oh boy, all this horrible stuff's going on there. It's like you're wasting your time. You're not going to convince somebody to spend money on security if they don't care about security, and that's where we are.
Right.
Right? It's a good document. I believe it's a good document. You can complain all you want about it. I'm not saying you are, but it's a consensus document, right? It's not like we're charting new waters here. We're just, as the government, which is supposedly all of us, we're just saying, hey, this is the kind of stuff you should do.
Well, and Chris Bohm, I remember the name. It's Chris Bohm's post, and again, we'll link to it. You know,
Yeah.
Chris says all these things, right? And
Yeah.
it's interesting. Like one of the comments he makes is teams kind of already know what good looks like. I'm going to argue a little bit against that because I think if everybody knew what good looked like, we would probably not have any of these issues whatsoever. But I'd argue that most people in the general sphere understand what good looks like, if not super granular. They understand the general principles of what security looks like.
Yeah.
But my first comment's gonna come from one of our favorites, Dale, and he said, look, he said in the first comment he made, he said, look, there is no information problem in ICS security. Kind of full stop. The end. You know, we don't have an information gap. We have an execution gap. Getting back to Chris's point. And I think I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, Dwayne, because
Well,
I think if we
you
had an
know,
information gap, we'd be a little different. If we
look,
didn't have one, we'd be different.
far be it from me to say Dale Peterson's out of touch, but I think he's kind of he's working on a certain set of assumptions where he's got, I don't know, does he still run a consulting company or does he just run the S4? I don't know. But I think the problem with Dale's point of view is it's pretty narrowly limited to a lot of pretty big customers, right?
Sure.
Like, yeah, do they have perfect information? Probably not. Do they have enough? Maybe. But I
They
think
have a
it's
lot more
naive.
than most people, though.
Yeah, I think it's a bad take. It's a bad take to say there's no information problem because, I mean, depending on how you talk to out there, there's still 70 to 90% of the companies that should have telemetry and information about their assets don't. And that, having sold into many different companies and many different size companies, I'm gonna I'm gonna go down that end of the spectrum more than there's no information problem, unless I don't understand what he means. Which, all right, maybe I don't.
Well, and that brings up an interesting point, right? Like in the people that we've worked with in the past, right? Generally, most people are trying to tackle what we like to call the simple stuff first, right? They're generally trying to
Well,
copy.
are they? I don't know.
I think everybody at least is looking for what they can do, which is great. And generally,
Okay.
most people are still trying to do the bare bone, not bare bones, the simple stuff first to get that in good shape, and then they go from
Well,
there.
I'm going to disagree with you. I
Oh,
think they're
interesting.
trying to
Why?
buy a magic bullet. The simple stuff is harden your. The simple stuff is go out with no tools at all and fix things like basic authentication, basic hardening of systems, basic stuff. That I mean, yeah, are some of our customers or prior customers or the maybe we just say the community, are they doing that? Yeah, but a lot of them are just throwing their hands up and saying, I don't know what to do with Windows 7 or XP. Well, there's a lot of things you can do if you spend 10 minutes Googling and thousands of hours fixing. you know,
Yep.
it's, I think the problem is, and I think it might have been Bame, or sorry, don't know how you say your name, dude. Chris, author of the article, it's prioritization, right? Prioritization is the biggest killer. And you get into our marketplace and you get a lot of vendors going, well, and this is Ralph and Dale's big argument quite often too, is, uh, what is the asset inventory that you need? What is the visibility you need? Okay. And Ralph will tell you it's got to be 100% or you can't do anything. Well,
Right.
that's a non-starter because that takes you 5 years right there. I think Dale has a different opinion, which I think I agree with more if I know his opinion. Won't speak for the dude, but my opinion is go find the stuff that's important and work on that visibility, and then work down them. It's a prioritization. Prioritize those things that you know you need to do. If that robot over there is absolutely vital to making the whole shop run, you better prioritize that. If you got a palletizer out back that's not being used these days, maybe you don't care what that asset inventory is. Know the difference there before you start spending a bunch of time.
But if you had the
Get
information, you
started.
had clear information.
Well, but who's going out and asking the operators? Who's going out and asking the guys on the shop floor? It's an infosec guy 1,000 miles away telling you what should be done because he wants to buy a new toy. Not, hey, let's solve these problems because, oh, by the way, we've riffed everybody that works in the plant that might know about it or care about it. So it's one guy 1,000 miles away that doesn't know anything about OT. Now let me get off that soapbox for a minute and just say, look, we know we need to do something, but nobody's ready to start. They want to talk about it forever. And oh, by the way, that costs money too.
Right. It's money by non-execution, essentially.
Well, it's money. I mean, how many places have you and I been in, or any of the audience, where you're going through a sales process and I've even changed companies, and the new company I work for, hey, we've got an opportunity with XYZ. It's like, well, I've spent 2 years on that opportunity at my last place, and they're still talking about it. Now, how much time did they burn internally, much less burn of their providers and everything else? I mean, it is an execution problem. It's a prioritization problem. Do something.
Interesting question there. Then that brings up something, which I think is a point another commenter made, and I can't remember exactly who it was, but one of the comments was basically like, how do you translate the massive amount of information in a document like the CISA document, and how do you change that into quick hit, fast, practical things that you can do, right? There's the formal way of doing things in the process, which of course is a lot of things that they're talking about in the document, getting into true zero trust, which of course takes a ton of information to do in an OT environment, because you got to really understand some of the devices and some of the things that you're dealing with on the floor. But how do you turn that into quick wins and fast, practical things? I don't know if you can bridge that gap. I think that's a tough gap to bridge.
Specifically in zero trust?
Yeah.
No.
Well, doing it fast. I guess that's my point.
No. That's
Yeah.
not where if I wanted a quick win, that's not where I would spend any of my time. If you go dig through the jungle of vendor bullshit about zero trust and all the claims, and go read the original stuff from Forrester and the original work done by Google. And look, Google, whatever you think of them, they've got impressive engineering there. And they spent years getting to zero trust. Admittedly, a big environment, admittedly, a lot of things, but smart, dedicated people went through years to get to a place that even looked defensible, right? So, which one is it you want? I mean, look, zero trust is a great aspirational goal, don't get me wrong, but to me, just off the top of my head, that's a 10-year journey in OT, because there's so many other foundational things that are missing. Where's your identity? Where's your, where are you understanding? Hey, I got a 20-year-old PLC. There's nothing I can do here with zero trust. I got a network that looks like a device network, right? It's a single-threaded, non-managed, runs down barbed wire to make it work. So, but to your point, are there things I can do to have very short time to values? Yes. There are. I mean, are they the foundational things? I mean, we always love to say we can't protect what we can't see, and therefore you have to have an asset inventory. There's zero return on investment on an asset inventory.
Right. Well, particularly if you don't do anything with it.
Well, but because it's foundational, because everything, quote unquote, everything else is based on that, and so you need it. But doing that, if you get way too into inspecting your own navel, as they used to say, then you're not getting anywhere. If you get, oh, hey, can I approach this in a pragmatic way, such that I understand the things that are exposed to the internet? Can I understand how my systems work? Because today I don't. Do I understand the network traffic and the network conversations? Because again, today I don't. Yeah, I mean, at the very least, at the checkpoints where I can control things, I should understand that. Why are you allowing your people on your shop floor to go to Netflix? Maybe it's a need, maybe it isn't, right?
But if you had, perfect information, that would be simple, right?
It would. No, it wouldn't be simple. It would be the starting point. It's still, is it an information problem or not? I guess, I'll quit ranting about that. But even if you did have perfect information, what do you mean by information? I'm going to nitpick on you here. Do you mean a full and complete asset inventory? Okay, let's say that you had that. What are you going to do with it? Are you chasing vols? Because I think we all know that's a zero-sum game at best. Does it mean I can build a policy of, these are the criteria by which I patch, now, later, never, whatever? That's great. Is that the best way to spend your money? I quite frankly, I doubt it.
Right.
Is it should you do that for a certain subset of your devices? Yeah, probably. Have you done a 62443 analysis? I don't know. Is that part of the perfect information that you possess? Probably not. So have you built your zones and your conduits and everything else that's needed for that? No. Not most of you. And I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying where.
No, because that's real life.
Yeah, because that's real life. So yeah, there's an information problem. Again, I'll say that, but it's I love the prioritization comment, right? How do you prioritize it? Okay, well, work backwards from what are you willing to do? What can you do? I'm not saying run out and buy a product. I'm saying what technology fits into the way that you are comfortable with building controls. And for most of us today, all that has been is a firewall between OT and IT. And then we poke enough holes in it, it looks like a piece of Swiss cheese anyway. The other good comment in that post and the answers were ownership. Right? Who owns this? It's not IT. That doesn't work.
Right.
I mean, let's just say it. They don't understand. That's what we've been saying for decades. Okay. It still goes back to my first comment. It's a money problem. Buy talent. Buy the capabilities.
Or at least enable people to have ownership of it.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got a policy. We're going to drive it from the top. Great. Who's going to actually execute?
Right, but then that ownership then creates all the other nonsense, all the political turf battles, all the we don't get along stuff. I don't know. I feel like I just expended a lot of energy on all that. So
hey, I like it. I think it's a good part one to the agenda of some other things that some other people have talked in the comments. But I think that's a good start.
I'd love to hear what people think. I'd love more engagement on LinkedIn, both with us when we are actually posting pods, but even comments like that. It's like there's nothing wrong with a cordial discourse about it, right? Or maybe sometimes even not 100% cordial, but you got to care. That's the thing that's missing there. You got to care. Your company's
I actually like that. Yeah, it's not execution. It's not perfect information. It's do you care?
Yeah. I mean, we can go to S4, and I like S4, don't get me wrong. We can go to S4 until the sun burns down to a cold black cinder. But the people that sign the checks, by and large, aren't showing up. They don't care. I can eke another % of a profit out of it without spending money. Well, okay, until you Jaguar Land Rover or whatever. But then it just goes on anyway. They're not, that was a tragedy, but it happens. Let's move on.
Got to rebuild. Got to build some cars. We're behind.
Yeah, as said, and we I don't think we're ever very. I don't think we hide this fact very much on this podcast. We're both in sales. How many times have we, or any of you out there that are sitting in the same seat as us, gone in, customer tells you, hey, we had an event, we had a breach, we had this, we had that. But when was that? Well, it was a year ago. Okay, well, what have you done? Well, nothing.
We're talking to you.
But we're getting ready. That's why we're talking to you right now. That's why you're talking to us a year later. What have you done between now and then?
Got it back
That's
up.
That's why we're talking to you. Well, I mean, thank you for talking to me, but I feel like I'm on my toes when it comes to security and can probably even make a halfway decent security consultant. But that ain't me. That's the people I talk to all the time. Maybe you should, if you don't know where to go, which is kind of what I feel like, then maybe you should talk to somebody who can advise you on a nice path. Do you have policies? Do you have guidelines? Do you have procedures? No, you don't have any of those. I'd prefer that you had all those before we talk. But here, I'll sell you
But the
some.
real world, yeah, the real world is no
Yeah,
one has those.
but yeah, I don't want to eat cat food next week. So here, buy my shit.
Hey, worst case scenario, look at the CISA document. So at least it's written down.
Yeah, and bitch about the CISA document like everybody else.
Like I said, I think it's part one of a couple.
Okay. Well, we'll leave you with that. If you haven't been watching lately because we haven't published anything, thank you. I'm sorry. Whatever the appropriate words are, we're gonna try to do better.
We're just content. It's just content machines, man. We just got to build more content, Dwayne.
Yeah. So I guess
I think you're gonna get started on TikTok, aren't you?
No. Yeah. Let's wrap it up. Thanks for showing up.
This has been the ICS Security Radio Hour half hour with me, Eric.
And me, Dwayne.
We'll see you around.